Toronto, Ontario. It's the Toronto Molson Indy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to CTV's Race Control. I'm Rob Falls, along with two-time Atlantic champion David Empringham. As we head into Toronto, it represents the halfway point of this championship season. And a look at the championship points show a dogfight going on at the top, with Memo Gidley leading Andrew Bordin and Buddy Rice, with players' teammates Alex Tagliani and Lee Bentham within striking distance. When we headed into round 5 in Montreal, we talked about the emotional advantage Canadians enjoy returning to home soil. And the results of that race certainly bared that out, with Bentham and Tagliani finishing 1-2. Toronto is also a hometown for our past 2 race winners. Lee Bentham and Kenny Wilden return to this circuit on a roll and looking to continue their strong mid-season form. David, you have raced and won on the streets of Toronto. How important is a victory in this city?
It's really important. It's mid-season. As you said, we have a dogfight on our hands, which is great, and they need to come out of here with as many points as they can. But for the Canadians, it's an absolutely huge race, particularly for Lee Bentham, for Rob MacDonald, and now Kenny Wilden, who's come off a great victory and a huge high. This is a big weekend for them. Emotions are high. They've got a lot of fan support. They're Canadian. Their sponsors are going to be at this race. A lot of added pressure from the media. It'll be interesting to see how these guys handle it. All that pressure can be uplifting and maybe not so uplifting. It'll depend on how each guy handles it individually. But certainly, I think these guys are all really professional. That pressure didn't seem to hurt Lee Bentham or Tagliani in Montreal, so hopefully we can see a Canadian win the Toronto Molson Indy.
All right, our last race in Cleveland, Ohio really changed the face of the championship. Memo Gidley made a rare mistake getting caught up with Anthony Lazzaro and saw his large points advantage shrink. And Canadian Kenny Wilden, who struggled with a poor handling car and some budget problems over the first 5 races, became a force, posting a convincing win. He'll need a good performance here to get up into the already crowded points chase. Now, David, you have raced with Kenny Wilden. Can he make an impact here?
Absolutely, Rob, especially here in Toronto. During the season, Kenny has struggled a little bit, and it's not because of talent. He has lots of talent. He's had a little bit of financial trouble with sponsorship, not enough testing, really hasn't been able to compete against the big money teams. Now he can. He has Trizac Hahn, and now Newcorp Financial's given him a big boost. He's able to have lots of testing recently, and with that win in Cleveland, his confidence is high. He's won a lot of races in showroom stock here in Toronto. He probably has more track time than most of the leaders in the Atlantic Series put together on the Toronto track. So I think we're going to see him up, hopefully, on the podium.
And Dave, he's one of those drivers with a team that has had to learn that very steep learning curve with the Swift chassis. The top Canadian in the championship is 22-year-old Andrew Bordin. He failed to score any points in Cleveland when the CV joint on his Swift failed. Andrew had actually changed back into his Ralt for the final qualifying in Cleveland because he was dissatisfied with the Swift chassis. But then he was told he couldn't change cars over the course of the race weekend, so he was forced back into the Swift, and he was not very happy about it. So the big question heading into the race in Toronto is whether Andrew will start his Swift or his Ralt. With more on that, here's our trackside man, Bill Adam.
Racing is always a game of give and take, but this year the Toyota Atlantic Series is even more so. Back at Cleveland, we saw a very interesting situation develop where you're trying to choose between Ralt and Swift. What's happening this weekend? $64 question.
Well, we had an opportunity to test the Swift, and we made some pretty big gains in the car. It feels much better, like I'll say about maybe 60 to 70% better. We showed that today. We were running in 6 before I tapped the tires, and we figured we'd go with the Swift for this week.
One of the problems the Swift has always had is in temperature. You were concerned about at Cleveland, and Toronto notoriously is a hot, hard race.
It is hot, but ironically today we're trying to build tire temp, and that's part of the reason why I tapped the wall, because I didn't have enough tire pressure in my tires, and the car was just a little bit too low, and I bottomed and I slid right out. My mistake, but you know, I learned.
You've only been to Toronto once before. Is that a huge disadvantage in such a competitive field?
Well, I mean, I drove around the track a couple times. It is competitive, and the thing is that their cars are set up very well, and it's so close. So you have to take your time, learn the track, and optimize the car. When you get a little bit too mad, if you're not going fast, it ends up you start hitting the wall like I did.
Well, Andrew Bordin may be in second place right now, but he has visions on number 1.
Well, he will not start number 1. He'll start number 31, as Andrew Bordin was scheduled to go 6th on the grid. He's dropped back to number 31 after problems with his Swift. With more on the story with Andrew Bordin, here's Gary Gerald.
Well, one of the Canadian contenders has more than got his work cut out for him today. Andrew Bordin started this season in magnificent fashion with 3 consecutive second-place finishes. He's second in points, tied for second coming into this event here in Toronto, but he's had a horrendous qualifying weekend. 2 incidents into the tires, not enough time to change the repair or make the repairs on the Swift chassis, so they've elected to go with the Ralt chassis, and as a consequence, rather than getting your qualified spot starting in the 6th position, you're at the very back of the field. How big of a setback in your mind is this?
Hey, you know, first of all, those are the rules. I've been racing for a long time. I've been through this tons of times, so it's not a big problem for me. I'll just let the race come to me and see how I'll do. It's going to be, I have my work cut out for me. It's going to be tough.
How long has it been since you've been in this race car?
Oh, about 2 days ago.
In a test session?
Yep.
So he does have some time on this track, but still, starting back here at the very tail end, more than a 30-car field, he's got a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Gary. Look at the past winners here in Toronto. Memo Gidley last year, Patrick Carfanche and Richie Hearn, who are both racing this weekend in the Champ cars on the kart circuit. So it does have a history. It has a history with my partner in 1992, David Empringham, a winner in Toronto, a win in his hometown. I know you still celebrate that fact. Take us through this 11-turn course.
Well, Rob, we've come from Cleveland that is really wide, and now we're at a street circuit in Toronto. It's only about 3 lanes wide, and to these guys, it's going to feel really tight. It's a circuit, though, that most of the drivers really enjoy. Although it's lined with walls, they can't make many mistakes. It's quite fast, which is abnormal for a street circuit. Really good passing zones into turn 3 at the end of the Lakeshore Boulevard and into turn 1. It's a good circuit for passing. As Andrew said, tire temp's a problem. It's very slippery. It's going to be exciting.
Let's take a tour with Lee Bentham.
We're onto the front straightaway here by start-finish line. Up to 5th gear, into turn 1. Down to 2nd gear, slippery over the concrete. Up to 3rd. Shift to 4th. Coming on the Lakeshore. Up to 5th gear now. High speed, the Formula Atlantic cars are doing about 160 miles an hour here. And into turn 3, hairpin turn, down to 1st gear. Sharp corner, up to 2nd, up to 3rd gear. Down again into 2nd, tight left-hander. Coming up to the carousel now, shift up to 3rd. Long sweeping right-hand corner onto the back chute here. Up to 4th. And we're going to pull 4th till the end, pull it into 5th. And then right back down to 2nd again for the right-hander. Coming to the series at 90 degrees now. Slippery through that turn. Keep it in 2nd. Take the left-hander, coming up to pit entrance again. Up to 3rd. Come through the right-hander towards the pits. Then the left-hander, catch 4th gear right in the middle, and you're past start-finish line. And that is a lap at Toronto.
Oh, this is pretty easy. I can't see the problem here at all. It looks like an easy game, doesn't it?
Actually, you know, Rob, that game is quite useful. It's amazing how many of the drivers that have never been to some of these circuits will use everything they can to watch videos of actual races at the circuit, but these computer games are getting very realistic. In fact, I remember one of the big notes a few years ago was Jacques Villeneuve learning one of the circuits with a computer like that and winning the race. So
an all-Canadian front row, as you saw, the players' team of Bentham and Tagliani. Rino Mastronardi has made an impact. He's with Anthony Lazzaro. Kenny Wilden is outside row 3, car number 50. In row 4, Matt Sielsky and Andrea De Lorenzi. He's one of the Italian contingent here. Row 5 has Memo Gidley. He had a tough time in qualifying in Derek Hill. There's another Canadian, Rob MacDonald. He's outside row 6. American Case Montgomery is in that row. David Rutledge will be outside row number 7. Cam Binder is inside row 8. Gives you the international flavor, as you saw the Japanese competitor Nagashima in that row as well. Dumoulin is in row number 10. Frank Allers of BC is in row 11. Ian Bland of Australia in row 12. Stéphane Roy is in row 13. Row 14 is All-American. Andrew Jensen is in row 15 in car number 41. And there's Andrew Bordin. second in the points. The number 2 car will start from the back of the field. It's been that kind. In Toronto, we will be watching the Canadians. Andrew Bordin, can he make it through the field? Memo Gidley, what's happened to him? And the yellows, will they be a factor? Kenny Wilden told me that he feels the yellows could be vitally important in winning or losing this race.
You can see the cars weaving back and forth there, Rob. This track, it's very crucial to try to get a little bit of tire heat on this formation lap. Because it's a street circuit, it's very slippery, specifically in the corners where the concrete is. It's almost like ice. And unlike Cleveland, this is a tough one to get tire temp.
We'll be on board with this man, Lee Bentham, who is trying to build after a win in Montreal. And Kenny Wilden in car number 50 also has an onboard camera. So we'll keep close watch on the Canadians in the field here in Toronto as they go, ready to go and rack it up in Toronto for the Players' Challenge for the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Championship. They love racing here in Toronto.
Lee Bentham's in the seat to have here. A lot of stress right now. Start's about to happen. He's going to rev it up to 10,000 RPM and watch for the lights and drop the clutch.
All right, we'll see what's going on with Memo Gidley. Here's Gary Gerald.
A problem for the season championship points leader Memo Gidley. It has something to do with the fuel pump. They've made a quick adjustment. They're hurriedly fastening the bodywork back out, but he may miss this start and end up being at the very back of the field. This could be disaster for the man who leads the points. He just shakes his head in frustration as he waits for the opportunity to get back on track.
Getting ready to race in Toronto. We'll talk about it. There is the green. They are racing in Toronto. And right from the start, Alexandre Tagliani makes a terrific move past Lee Bentham to move into first. So the Quebec driver has shot into the lead as we ride with Kenny Wilden.
Great to see a clean start here, Rob. It's a tough turn one with a fair bit of speed in the entry. Obviously, Tagliani got a little bit better power down. Maybe Lee got a little wheel spin, but on the Lakeshore Boulevard here, 150 miles an hour coming into really hard braking.
Let me ask you, you see some smoking tires there as they come through, but the leaders get through plainly, Tagliani and Bentham. We noticed that Memo Gidley is starting from the back of the pack. What would be the problem with the fuel? Would it be not getting enough of it? Would it be the mixture? What would be the problem?
It's hard to say. I think if he came in, there was a big problem. Maybe something wasn't done up right. The engine really just not getting any fuel.
And on these races where it is basically an all-out sprint, as you watch the pass here, Anthony Lazzaro moves by Buddy Rice. Nice move by car number 25. Anthony Lazzaro to get by car 65. You look at Toronto right now, Tagliani, Bentham, then Lazzaro. Wilden is 5th. Only 21 years of age, David Rutledge is a new addition to the Players Drivers Development Program. He's seen here participating in the pit stop competition prior to the Grand Prix Players of Canada. A native of Vancouver, Rutledge was the '96 Bridgestone Racing School Formula 2000 Series champ. Last year, he competed in the final 3 events of the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Series. This year, Rutledge contests all events of the Atlantic Series. Richard Reynard helps him with driving tips, and Rutledge has had his physical and psychological profiles assessed by the experts of Human Performance International. Rutledge is another example of success for the Players Drivers Development Program. Welcome back to round 7 of the Players' Challenge for the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Championship. Alongside David Empringham, I'm Rob Folds. David, you know what it's like to win on this track as they continue to race. The lead by the Players team, Tagliani, then Bentham, Anthony Lazzaro with a move. And look at the move here, turn 3, but shut down quickly.
It was David Pook doing a little door closing, so to speak. Yeah, Rob, this is a great track to race on. It's got fast corners, slow corners, and great passing zones, which we always want to see on racetracks.
Well, that's the key, giving the drivers an opportunity to make some moves and where they plant it. That's great for the crowd, too. They know exactly where they want to plant themselves for the race, where they'll see the most action.
These opening laps are really crucial because the track is very low grip. It's tough to get tire temp. And the guys that might be really good in the rain or on cold tires are going to be able to break open the lead. As we can see here with Lee Bentham in car, this This is turn 1, the Princess Gate corner. Tough section, concrete, you can see it goes over. Change of surface grip. Coming on to Lakeshore Boulevard, he's going to go up to 5th gear, 150 miles an hour.
Well, let's check in again with Gary Gerald. He's got more on Memo Gidley's woes.
He just flashed by us in 26th position. Jim Griffin, were you able to fix the problem?
Yeah, it was a wire on the fuel pump relay, actually, that came off. We were able to reconnect it, and he should be fine now.
So do you talk to him and try to calm him down? You worry about his adrenaline pumping a little too hard?
Yeah, he's kind of a veteran here. I think he'll be okay, but we will just keep talking to him, trying to get him to pick him off one at a time.
And we'll keep track. It's got a long way to go for Gidley. 26 last time by.
Well, what is the motivation of somebody coming from back of the pack? Well, Andrew Bordin is there, so too is Memo Gidley.
This is the tough one for Memo. This is the 3rd race in a row that he's had some trouble, and I think Gary Gerald said it best. It's just a disaster for him.
Oh, talk about a disaster. That's Cam Binder, the Canadian from Calgary.
Well, it looks like he's had a pretty big hit, and you make a small mistake on a street course where you have concrete walls, and it always ends up with a lot of car damage, and hopefully he's all right here.
Full course yellow now, as they're going to have to get Binder's car out of the way. Got some clean laps in to start. This is going to be good news, I think, perhaps for Lee Bentham, as he's able to move closer and tuck in Alex Tagliani as they get started again. You know, earlier in the program, we showed you Lee Bentham on a computer game going through Toronto, but computers are a vitally important part of each and every team. Bill Adams spoke to Kenny Wilden about the use of computers.
In the ultra-competitive Toyota Atlantic racing world, the computer age has arrived. It used to be that you could talk to drivers to find out exactly what was going on the track, but no more. Nowadays, they're finding more and even more accurate information by actually referring to a computer. Now, Ken Wilden, this is an idea of what has happened in your car on the track. Just go through this for us, please.
Well, basically what we've got, Bill, is we download the computer and we want to take a look at how we're performing on the track. And up here we have speed, so you've got 140 miles an hour, and then you've got distance on the track. And what this shows the Lakeshore at Toronto, and our top speed just above 142, 145 range, and then slowing down for the corners.
Now the angle as you go down, that's showing you how fast you're decelerating?
That's correct. That's all miles an hour. We're losing a lot of speed there. And the red line is my lap, the black line is my partner's lap, so we can overlay laps and see who's faster where and check that out. We can also pull up at other times shock sensors. We can show steering, gear position. You can show wheel spin, just about everything.
You can use this almost as an educational tool to make your partner go quicker as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And
now you can also lay this. Explain this little graph here to us, Ken.
Well, this is we can print any of this out, and what we do just for references is print a map out, and we've got the corners broken down. This is the back straight, obviously down Lakeshore, and it's split up into segment times, and we can actually have our in-car computer put down how much time we spend in each one of these segments.
So if you make a shock absorber change, for example, you can tell right from that if it was good or bad.
Absolutely. Some engineers use this a lot, some don't use it at all.
Well, if there is a downside to all this, once upon a time a driver used to be able to say, yeah, I went through that flat out. Not any longer. Now the computer knows.
We have the technology. Now, if you could get that for your drive into work, that'd be perfect. They're under yellow in Toronto right now. The Canadians, Tagliani and Bentham, are 1-2. Kenny Wilden is 5th. We'll be back. And they're racing in Toronto. Richie Hearn on the pole. David Empringham starting from outside of row 1. You see the field come around the corner. Good start by Empringham, but Richie Hearn takes it back on the inside.
Boy, I'm surprised that David Empringham let it do that, because he made a cracking start from the outside of the road, but let himself be squeezed out by Richie Hearn into that vital turn 1. Onto the long back straight now. Fastest part of this course, Toyota Atlantic Championship cars, up to about 150, 155 miles an hour.
Well, let me see. You had a cracking start, but you didn't win the race. What happened, Mr. Cracking Start guy?
The guys in the booth, they're always so critical. Jeez.
That's why I had to get rid of the one guy and had to get you. We knew you'd be
preservation.
Well, it was a good start, but Richie dove down and was able to hold on for the victory there. There's Green in Toronto. They are racing again here in the 1998 version of the Molson Indy Toronto in the Players' Challenge for the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Championship. Alex Tagliani leading out his partner Lee Bentham. Tagliani with a great start to begin the race, and off he shot.
Here we are in car with Lee Bentham. Great shot, long straightaway. You can see a clear picture in his cockpit.
Let me ask you right now.
Catching a good draft here.
As he catches, and you can see him come outside, he's taking a look on Alex Tagliani. Can he force the issue, or does he have to really run the risk of getting too close and too deep on that turn?
Well, he gets a good draft from Alex. It's just Alex is playing it smart. He can pick a side he wants to be on, so he's going to brake on the inside, which makes it very difficult for Lee to pass.
Here's Anthony Lazzaro, car number 25, the MCI car. He's in third place. Lynx Racing is represented. There's Buddy Rice, car 65, in fourth. And here's a move. Oh, very tight move. Case Montgomery. We haven't seen Case very much this year, and he's just shot by.
This is some great racing, side by side through two corners now, and Kenny's got it back.
Case Montgomery shot by Kenny Wilden, but Kenny Wilden able to steal it back coming through the start-finish area.
Players' cars really seem to be hooked up again this weekend, similar to Montreal. They really must have the... Oops. Case has hit the wall at the exit of turn 1. He hit it pretty hard. I'll be surprised if he'll be able to keep going.
Oh, that's a tough one for Case Montgomery, who's been struggling since the middle of last season. He was hoping 97 would be a breakthrough year for him. Look at this, 3 abreast almost coming through.
You can see Case slowing down a little bit there. It's confusing with his teammate's car. That's there he's slowing down there. Getting back to players, guys, they really have figured out these slow corners. Lots of mechanical grip in their cars. Really strong in Montreal and seem to be really strong here in Toronto.
Watching again as they come through. This is the backside of the racetrack as they make these final turns. And let's take another look at this situation with Case Montgomery. Oh.
Just got a little bit wide, and I really can't emphasize enough how slippery these apexes are. This track's strange in that you have asphalt going in. At the apex is concrete, then asphalt again. Very difficult to drive and very difficult to set up.
And again, through making the quick turn with the 2 team members from the players team, Tagliani and Bentham going 1-2. We have the luxury of riding with Lee Bentham. Take us through a lap around the Toronto track.
Well, this is the back straight, about 150 miles an hour, 5th gear. He's going to brake really hard here in about 300 feet, down to about 30 miles an hour, 1st gear, up through the gears, 2nd, 3rd, tight left-hander. See the concrete makes it difficult to put the power down. This is the fountain turn, 3rd gear, up around 100 miles an hour already, into another straightaway that has a kink in it, which makes it difficult to pass, down to another slow right-hander. Concrete in the middle, tough to get traction. Working our way back up towards the start-finish. A few fast S's, which means you got to have your car a little bit stiffer to have good transition. Corner leading onto the front straight. Finishes a lap here.
And usually you get a good roar from the crowd as they come through back around turn number 1 and the Prince's Gate in Toronto. Oh, this can't be good. California Case Montgomery is coming into the pits. You saw him tap the wall, and this could be trouble. A season of difficulty continues for Case Montgomery. It appears his day is done.
Now, you called it right on the button. Hand signal said shut it down. Apparently damage over there in that left rear suspension. Carlos Bobeda stands alongside, and a disappointed Case Montgomery, in fact, he may be more than disappointed, comes climbing out of the car.
Well, for Case Montgomery, he was hoping for so much in the latter stages of 97, jump teams, and then to begin 98, he was hoping again to make an impact. It has been difficult for Case Montgomery. Well, he's cooled down a little bit, we hear, and Gary Gerald has been able to catch up with Case Montgomery. Gary?
Case Montgomery, tell me what happened.
Well, the restart went off pretty good. It was real clean. Then we came around into turn 8, and I got under Wilden, and somehow he got back on the outside of me. We touched wheels, and everything seemed to be okay coming down to turn 1, but I got in a little bit wide, and I hit the wall. I made a mistake, and I just feel really bad for the crew. They worked really their tails off, especially Carlos, and I feel terrible. It was just a mistake.
Thank you.
Well, you can't do anything but feel for Case Montgomery. He keeps coming out week after week looking for a breakthrough. Has not been able to get that yet.
It kind of looks like the Canadians are checking out here, Rob. Both the players guys doing a great job, and Kenny Wilden not too far back.
Riding with Kenny Wilden right now.
It's great to see Kenny competitive in open wheel racing, and he's doing a super job. He's got these new sponsors on board, Trizec on, with actually the CN Tower on the side of his car.
Well, when the owners of the CN Tower are on hand, they get a pretty good view. I'm sure you want to impress.
Got a good battle here with David Pook and De Lorenzi. Great passing zone here, and Pook is being a little bit defensive.
And they go too wide around the corner. Whoa, that's a battle for 12th place right now here in Toronto. And Andrew Bordin, who started from the 31st position, has moved his way up. So he has steadily made his way through. Right now, Tagliani, Bentham 1-2. Kenny Wilden is 4th in Toronto. Welcome back to Toronto. That is Kenny Wilden in car number 50, who's moved into 4th place here in round 7 of the Players' Challenge for the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Championship. He was able to get by car number 65, Buddy Rice of Lynx Racing. And David, here's the pass.
It's a classic pass, Rob, into the Lakeshore Boulevard, 150 miles an hour, pulls out, takes the inside, and really doesn't give Buddy Rice a choice.
And great confidence boost after winning in Cleveland for Kenny Wilden to come here, and he is just racing so very well right now.
Absolutely. That's what a win does for you. He feels he needs to be there again, and he's showing it.
The 29-year-old is from Burlington, Ontario, now lives in Oakville. So just in the shadow of Toronto, he wants to get another strong performance to build on the victory from Cleveland. And right now, holding on to 4th place, trying to make a run at Anthony Lazzaro, who is in 3rd place behind the 2 players' team members. And right now, here's a move by De Lorenzi and Gidley in the battle for 13.
Gidley will be just trying to move up as quick as possible, obviously, get as many points this weekend as he can. We had a yellow earlier, which actually helps Gidley a lot. He'll be hoping for some more, so it'll close it up.
And right now, what a great move both Memo Gidley and Andrew Bordin have made. These are guys who started from the back of the pack. Bordin because he changed chassis, and Gidley because of a problem right at the start with the fuel pump. And it looked great for the players team because they were on the front row. They were going to pick up points if they race clean, knowing that there's going to be a big points difference between Bentham, who's racing after Gidley. But look at the moves Gidley has made.
It's a little ironic that our points leaders started at the back just to make this quite a championship for us.
And right now, he has raced into 14th place. Good work by the Lynx Racing team.
And we haven't said a whole lot about Tagliani, who's just doing a terrific job here, winning or leading in Toronto.
And right now, starting to come into traffic. Now, this could play an important part into how this plays out.
Tagliani's going to try to get him on this next corner, try to put a gap between he and Bentham.
Going by Serge Szortyka is Tagliani, and there's Bentham now trying to get the advantage by, as again you take a look at Memo Gidley making his way through this series of turns.
Looks like they're having trouble getting by David Pook. De Lorenzi behind Pook and Gidley behind De Lorenzi. On board with Lee Bentham. He's, you can see going across that concrete patch, his hands are shaking back and forth. It's very bumpy, and your hands are always moving, just trying to keep that car under control.
Coming off the concrete, too, it kind of aims you right towards the cement, the other concrete, but this time the wall, you really have to fight to get it back and get the grip back.
Very little room for margin here in this track, as Case Montgomery showed us earlier.
And look at this, the 1-2 in the points race. Gidley and Bordin are racing 1-2 as they make their way through the field. So watch for this, car number 19 and car number 2 of Andrew Bordin. Terrific battle there as Bordin wants to keep Gidley in his sights too. So one car separating between Gidley and Bordin. So Bordin still can see Memo Gidley. He's not going to let him get too far ahead.
You can see Jean-Francois Dumoulin, another Canadian who's I believe this is his second start. He's just getting his feet wet in the Atlantic Series. I think we'll see him prove something in a couple of years from now.
And now Kenny Wilden in car number 50 has to hold off car number 65. That is Buddy Rice. Gary Gerald made his way down to the Wilden pit, and Mike Shank.
Mike Shank, the car owner, keeping an eye on Kenny Wilden. Kenny's got a great amount of momentum going these last 3 races. You've got to be delighted with the way he's handling this field.
Absolutely. This guy's really come on the last 2 races. We're able to do some testing thanks to the good people. Triza Khan in Newport came on right before Cleveland, and he is a great driver, and people are going to finally get to realize that now.
This guy's pumped up, and who can blame him? A quick note on Henry De Lorenzi. He's lost first and second gear. He's only got third, fourth, and fifth left.
And the yellow is out in Toronto. Yellow flag, but it's just at the corner. There is a problem.
You can see a little bit of, I think, oil spilling out of Derek Hill's car. Here's Kenny Wilden getting around a back marker, which is going to give him a little bit of help keeping Buddy behind him. Buddy Rice got by him also.
Buddy was able to make a good move as well as he pushed his way through the turn, and the battle right now is for 4th place. It looks like the Players team running very neatly 1-2. Anthony Lazzaro comfortable in 3rd, and Kenny Wilden, who was 6th in Montreal, then 1st in Cleveland, is now racing in 4th, trying to hold off Buddy Rice.
Wilden's doing a great job. Buddy's pressuring him, and Kenny isn't making a mistake.
Is concentration a factor at this point of the race? They have had a yellow to deal with. They just had a corner yellow there. Is it a situation now you really have to bear down?
Concentration's always... Here we are.
Oh!
That's Derek Hill getting in a little too deep, locking up his tire. That doesn't bode too well for him right there. Here we are seeing Kenny and Buddy again. Absolutely, concentration is key. We're well into the race. You know, these guys aren't running a 2-hour race like the Indy cars, but for them, 40 laps is a long time, and they've done, with a guy pressuring Kenny like this, it's tough to keep your concentration.
40 laps around this 2.77 kilometer, and Szortyka gets in the way. And there's something on Wilden's onboard camera, rather. He started in 6th place. He's in 4th right now. Now that's either water or oil, some kind of fluid. It is not raining, so that's an interesting situation. We'll follow.
That was bad timing for Kenny to catch that back marker through there. I can guarantee you Buddy Rice is right on his tail right here.
Now, race control has reported to us that Anthony Lazzaro is leaking something. Not sure exactly what it is yet. There it is, car number 25, Anthony Lazzaro, winner in Homestead last year.
Well, we saw some drops on Kenny Wilden's in-car, but Kenny really isn't close enough to have been from Lazzaro, but that back marker that Kenny almost ran in the back of, I think that was his car.
A sweat then.
Just a little sweat.
Anthony Lazzaro running in 3rd place. Now he's got traffic to get around.
Lazzaro's doing a great job this year, and he's with a great team. He's very fortunate to be with a team that has an Indy car, so there's possibly a bright future for him. And also their ties with Swift and Hiro Matsushita give them almost a factory effort here.
That's got to help too as they go through the season. Oh, problem now for Buddy Rice. The Lynx Racing Team, the rookie, has hit the wall, and his afternoon is done. Oh, what a way for this race to end as he was in 5th place. Full course yellow is out. Canadians are 1-2. Players Atlantic driver Lee Bentham enjoys spending most of his free time home in Newmarket near Toronto. A great fan of physical fitness, Bentham's also an avid golfer. And when the weather's not nice enough to go outside, Lee spends some time inside training on a sophisticated golf simulator. Bentham is also a keen pool player. When he's at home, he likes spending his free time with his close friends and his family. The young man also likes cross-country skiing and to play video games when he's got a moment to himself. However, Lee's most favorite activity remains to race his Players Atlantic car. me emphasize that no money actually changed hands during that pool competition that was strictly a loan. Those words from Lee Bentham. Right now, he is second behind Alex Tagliani. They're under yellow after Buddy Rice hit the wall. A little problem for Buddy, and he's with Gary Gerald.
Buddy Rice, you and Kenny Wilden were having quite a war between the two of you. What ended up creating the problem for you?
Oh, well, the whole back half of the whole circuit is oiled down right now, and there really were no debris flags out, and we were just running. We ran through there 2 or 3 times. It's pretty loose, pretty slick through the whole area, and Kenny and I just going through. He got out of sequence on the thing. I tried to make a run. He blocked, and then got put out on the high side and just got out in the marbles and kind of lost it. Just the way it goes, you know.
Tough loss, and certainly it's putting a whole new look on this championship points thing. Got to be disappointed about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we just came from Cleveland. We're tied for second, only 6 out, so we needed a solid finish to make sure we stayed up there, and now we don't have it, so.
Interesting. As Buddy mentioned to Gary, he's talked about oil on the track, the marbles on the outside of the track, so the conditions continue to change.
They always do, and he mentioned oil. I wonder if that's from the reported oil leak of Lazaro. Certainly make it tough braking 150 miles an hour when there's oil on the track.
There was a tough move, too, by Kenny Wilden, who you ride with now, who dove inside. And look at the chance now. Lee Bentham's taking a run at Alex Tagliani by turn number 3. They're running side to side. As they get to the turn, Tagliani's still got it.
Yeah, that's a great shot. Alex being a little bit protective, but Lee, I think, got about a good half car up beside him, but wasn't able to make the pass.
Well, Bentham has decided now's the time to make the moves, and we'll watch again. It looks like turn number 3 is the one where Bentham wants to make the move on Alex Tagliani. He's got to try to stay close now.
I think Alex is going to play it pretty tough here. In Montreal, Lee Bentham stole the win in his home track, and I think he's going to try to do the favor here. Great racing up here in front.
Here there were no real team rules except for don't run into each other. Get to the flag. We don't care who goes 1-2. That's between you two guys.
It's always the problem when you're racing your teammate, specifically for the lead. You've got egg all over your face if you make a great pass, but it's not so great and it takes out your teammate.
Now here, let's watch again as they come through the back straight. This is where Bentham made a move the last time.
Lee's going to get a good draft here. They're going fast enough that he's going to really have a lot more power, but Tagliani's going to block the inside.
He's doing it again. Here it goes again with Bentham. No, they both smoke it.
Both of them in deep. That was fantastic. Both locked up the tire. We might get to see this again.
Unbelievable. Great racing from the two teammates in the players' team. Alex Tagliani holding off Lee Bentham.
It's awesome when you get that kind of racing for the lead between two teammates.
Oh, big problem now. David Pook, who started in 13th, is mixed up with Michael David.
That's right at the end of the Lakeshore Boulevard, where we mentioned there was oil down in the hard braking zone, and it's obviously caught a couple guys out.
So yellow again. Now, will this allow Lee Bentham time to plan his next run at the leader, Alex Tagliani? That will certainly prove interesting. But Pook and Michael David have run into each other. Their day is done. How long will this take? Here's another look at what happened.
It actually looked like Pook got in so deep that he locked up the tires and ran in the back of Jean-Francois and Dumoulin. Michael David was just...
innocent bystander.
Innocent bystander, exactly.
Wrong place at the wrong time for Michael David as David Pook backs into him. Oh, and this is Nagashima. A problem there as he bounces over and goes into the runoff.
This is fairly typical on a restart on a street circuit with just a few laps left. Guys are trying to make pretty aggressive moves.
And right now, Tagliani and Bentham continue to be 1-2. Wilden is third. Back in Toronto, round 7 of the Players' Challenge for the KOOL Toyota Atlantic Championship. Anthony Lazaro is out. He was leaking oil. Let's check in with Gary Gerald with the Players team.
Neil Nickelwright, Vice President Operations for the Players Racing Team. What are the team orders with Bentham and Tagliani?
Finish first and second and don't run into each other.
And look at earlier during the yellow. That's Lee Bentham saying, okay, let's race. They're having a little fun with the Players team right now. Blue and white dominating here in Toronto. It's good to see. And green again as they get ready to race, maybe to close out here in Toronto.
Real crucial restart here, and Tag seems to have planned it pretty well. He's got a little bit of a comfort. Bentham won't be able to get as much of a draft as he's been used to, and Tagliani's probably pretty happy about that.
Tagliani took over first right on the start. He was outside row 1, was able to pull away, and has led the entire race. And look how tight it is getting again around turn 3, and we've got some bumping.
Looks like Sielsky and Derek Hill. Little bump and grind down in the tightest corner of the track.
Well, they're not afraid to go into that corner. The problem is sometimes you don't come out of that corner.
Back on board with Kenny Wilden. He's now in 3rd spot with Rosario having troubles with his gearbox. Great run for Kenny. First in Cleveland. Looks like he's got a podium, maybe even second. You can see how close he was to Lee Bentham.
And right now it appears there will be an all-Canadian podium. Things are looking that good right now with the players' team members and then Kenny Wilden. And Wilden, you're right, David, is starting to close a little bit of the gap as Tagliani pulls away.
Here's a replay of Matt Sielsky and Derek Hill getting in pretty deep in what we've heard is an oil slick and back straightaway. Derek just turning into Sielsky.
Sielsky running in 4th place right now. Mastronardi is in 5th. And through this all, while we've been talking, Memo Gidley continues to move up. Canadians in the top 3 right now. Andrew Bordin has moved from 31st to 10th. Gidley's riding in 6th, and the yellows have kept the field close, and this benefits Memo Gidley. Can he pick up any more positions? That certainly helps him in the points run.
Tagliani's doing a super job. He's not falling apart with the pressure. He's driving against the track, and I think he's actually pulled out a little bit of a lead on Lee.
The time is running out now for Lee Bentham if he wants to take a run at Alex Tagliani. He's got to get close and make a move. There you see Memo Gidley, who's moved into 6th place. And doing the quick math right now, this looks like it will make it very tight. We've got a spin on the backside. That is De Lorenzi and Luc Lesage. They've mixed it up. That will bring out the yellows again. De Lorenzi, who started in 8th place. A tough day, and that puts yellow out and the checkered flag. Alex Tagliani, who made the right moves, held off Lee Bentham on the restarts, will win in Toronto. Bentham did it in Montreal. Toronto belongs to Alex Tagliani.
It's a great day for Alex and also for Lee Bentham, his teammate. Both did a tremendous job. And on the podium, Kenny Wilden. All Canadians in Toronto. Perfect race.
Terrific for the Canadian contingent. It is players 1-2. Well, on the shores of Lake Ontario, the checkered flag belonged to Alex Tagliani. Lee Bentham 2nd, Kenny Wilden 3rd. 1, 2, 3 for Canadian drivers. Memo Gidley was 6th, got important points. Rob MacDonald was 7th. Dumoulin 8th. Andrew Bordin 10th. Let's check in with Gary Gerald. He's with the champion.
Alexandre, tell me about the restart coming down for that finish when you knew that your teammate was right there, and of course he wanted to win every bit as much as you wanted to.
Well, you know, first of all, it's a long straightaway, so for sure there's going to be drafting. But I was on the radio with my coach, and on the second restart, when Lee tried to pass me down the straightaway, he told me that I did a couple of mistakes in the last corner, and that's why Lee got a big draft on me. And I changed my driving style with cold tire. That's what he said, and it worked very good. So thank for my coach, Richard Spinard.
How difficult was it for you in your own mind to make that kind of a change with cold tires?
I mean, sometimes it's easier to see from the outside of the track than on the inside of the car. And the track is changing a lot with some kind of car that they leak oil. And, you know, you need to be very careful. And the Players Forsythe team is giving us very good help for that, you know. And, you know, it's a team victory today.
Indeed it is. Enjoy another one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And an awful lot of red and white in the standings. Look at this. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, 10th. Just a marvelous performance by the Canadians in Toronto. Lee Bentham was 2nd. He's just as happy with 2nd, and he's with Gary Gerald.
Lee Bentham, you find yourself battling your teammate for a win. You find yourself battling for a championship today. How tough was it when you came down in that last restart knowing you were running out of laps and time and a chance to get another victory?
It was a little tough. I actually had a good run on Alex the second last restart, but unfortunately it didn't work. He had the inside covered. So we wanted to do a player's 1-2 finish. That's exactly what we did. The last restart, the car didn't come in quite as well as I wanted it to, so we fell back a little bit, but we got the points we needed.
You had the 1-2 finish, of course, at Montreal. You were the number 1. Today you're number 2, but in front of the hometown, the fans of Canada here, special satisfaction in getting these 1-2 podium finishes?
Absolutely, and it doesn't seem to matter whether we're in Montreal or Toronto. We love finishing 1-2. I guess they're calling us the Blues Brothers now, but I beat him in his hometown. He beat me in my hometown. Now we're even.
Thanks.
And the points start to show that this one is going to go to the wire. You do not want to miss a race. Gidley, Bentham tied for first. Tagliani, Bordin tied for third. Buddy Rice is in 5th place. That is how tight it is right now in the Atlantic Championship in '98. Well, will a rubber match be for the Blues Brothers? Trois-Rivières, August 15th. Check your local listings. That's part of a doubleheader. We'll also show you the race from Mid-Ohio.